Take a look.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Hero Kris back at you with another one. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, the community post. You already know the vibes, man, and it's Wednesday. So you already know what that means. It's time for your AEW Dynamite review. And this week's episode of Dynamite, probably one of the best episodes of Dynamite I've seen in quite a while, man. Most times you have okay episodes that have some stuff on it that I don't really like, but there is more stuff that I do. But this episode of Dynamite, really good show, man, start to finish, top to bottom, in and out, up and down, all around. And when you're coming all around, make sure you stop through whose house? Swerve's house, because that's how this week's episode of Dynamite started. It started off with the AEW champion Swerve Strickland, you know, putting people on notice, putting Will Ospreay on notice, letting him know that, you know, when it comes time for Forbidden Door, Ospreay can't hesitate, because Swerve is going to do whatever it takes to put Ospreay in the ground, put him in the dirt, so he retains his AEW championship. And Swerve also addresses the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas. He says that they have unfinished business and whatnot. And seeing how this is a wrestling show and we have to abide by the rules of wrestling, seeing as Swerve mentioned the EVPs, of course this means the Elite has to come out. And we have breaking news. I think they said it's going to be July 24th, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be Blood and Guts, the Elite, challenging the best that AEW has to offer. And as of right now, there's only 4 members on the side of the Elite. And they're putting out the olive branch to bring out the pump up sneakers of peace, presenting them to Swerve and offering Swerve the final spot with the Elite. And Swerve said, you know what, man, not only is he a businessman, not only is he a mogul, but he's also a philanthropist. And he takes the sneakers that Matthew and Nicholas presented to him and he throws them in the crowd. One, because they're a size 9 and Swerve has bigger feet than that. So essentially, Swerve rejects the Elite's final spot in Blood and Guts, and it looks like the Elite are about to get the jump on Swerve. And this is kind of where the segment took a turn for the worse for me, because up to this point, I'm digging it. I'm digging Swerve. I'm digging the fact that the Elite are dealing with someone who is, you know, a top tier talent in Swerve. And then, of all people to come out and jack it all up, you had the damn Acclaim come out and essentially make the save for Swerve. And by this logic, it's looking like it's going to be the Elite plus a mystery partner taking on the team of Swerve Strickland, Anthony Bowens, Mr. Ass, and Max Caster, the Acclaim, in Blood and Guts. And I'm liking the fact that it is going to be Blood and Guts. I'm liking the fact that the Elite is interacting with the AEW champion. However, there's no other teams they could have picked. It really had to be the Acclaim. Like, this is it. That's it. I don't know. Before the brawl could really take place, you had the Fallen Angel, Adam Pearce, come out, make the save, and say that, you know, we're not going to do this here tonight. We're not going to have this brawl. We're not going to have all this fighting. Instead, we're going to have a qualifying match for the TNT Championship ladder match. And it's going to be Jack Perry taking on Dustin Rhodes. And I'm like, all right, well, brother, first you have the Acclaim come out, and then you're going to make me watch a Dustin Rhodes match. Okay, whatever. And I will say this, man, not to really, you know, harp on Dustin Rhodes too much, because he is a legend and he can still wrestle at a high caliber for his age. My whole thing is, I don't care to see this man wrestle in big 2024, but it is what it is. We're here now. We just got to deal with it. And for what it was worth, it, to the surprise of nobody, the match between Dustin Rhodes and Jack Perry was actually really good. The right person won over. Jack Perry won with that knee he does. It's kind of like the Busaiku knee, but it's like the glass jar or whatever Jack Perry calls it. I don't know. But the main point is Jack Perry won. Dustin Rhodes can, go back to doing whatever until Tony Khan decides to use him again. But yeah, thank God Jack Perry won. So after this, we have possibly one of the greatest promos my ears have ever heard, my eyes have ever seen. You have Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe, the Ring of Honor champion, in the back. And they're talking about the trios match they're going to have later. And then Mark Briscoe just goes off. I didn't really catch what he said. I just know that I felt the energy. I felt the mana. Even though that's not really the Mark Briscoe's thing, I still felt the mana. Mark Briscoe is yelling. He's spitting in the camera. He called Takeshita Kanosuke cha 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 cha, and he just starts yelling and everything. And I'm like, you damn right, Mark Briscoe, because I would run through a wall for Mark Briscoe. And we might as well just go ahead and just skip to the trios match, which is actually a whole lot of fun. You had the aforementioned team that I just mentioned taking on Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Roderick Strong. And like I said, this was a really fun match, action-packed, a whole bunch of flips and dives and kicks and everything. And it was kind of looking like Orange Cassidy and them were going to win, but Kyle Fletcher ended up getting the win for his team. He even pinned Ring of Honor champion Mark Briscoe. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that promo went nowhere. So after the match, you have Trent ? Putting the beat down on Orange Cassidy. And then it's looking like Willow Nightingale is going to come out and make the save because she has Orange Cassidy's back. But surprise, mother lovers, Kris Statlander got the beat down on Willow. And you have Stokely and Hathaway in the background talking trash. So, yeah, so much for that plan. They even posted a selfie on Twitter, so that was pretty funny. So the Owen Hart tournament is really heating up. You have all types of wrestlers, making their intentions known that they want to compete in it. Bryan Danielson's involved. Pac made his intentions known that he wants to be involved in it too. And then you have New Japan superstar Shingo Takagi throwing his name in the mix. So far, it's looking like a pretty nice tournament for both the men and the women, so, that's pretty cool. And then you have more from Christopher Daniels. He announces my favorite thing in the world, eliminator matches involving the Elite. So you're going to have the Acclaim taking on the Young Bucks in an eliminator match. And then you also have Okada competing. They didn't really say who his opponent was, so we'll have to wait and see. And seeing how this story is going, I wouldn't be surprised if the Acclaim actually got the win over the Young Bucks, because honestly, the thing I hate, I keep repeating this because it's true, the challengers never win in the eliminator matches. It's always the champion. So seeing as this is how the storyline is going, I wouldn't be surprised if the Acclaim did win, and then I will complain once again next week about how I'm tired of the Acclaim, even though everybody quote unquote loves the Acclaim, so whatever. So next up, we had a tag team match, and I'm really digging this pairing between Hook and Samoa Joe, because they're kind of like big brother and little brother, uncle and nephew, dare I even say father and son, because you have Samoa Joe, he's opening up to Hook, and he's asking him questions like, yo, why does your dad love orange so much? Is it because of the Syracuse Orangemen? And Hook replies, Taz hates Syracuse, which makes sense because, yeah. But anyway, you have them. You even have Shibata as the cameraman, and I'm liking them as a unit, as a team, as a trio, as a tag team, whatever. They ended up beating up the premier athletes. Hook choked out one guy, Samoa Joe choked out the other one, Mark Sterling got choked out. Who knows, man? Maybe they might end up winning the trios championships. I wouldn't be too mad at that at all. Alright, so we have more Forbidden Door shenanigans. We have the CEO, Mercedes Moné, taking on Zeuxis. She's from CMLL, she's Puerto Rican, and she's a good wrestler. I just don't know how you pronounce her name. I apologize. But for what I've seen of her, this is my first match I've seen of Z. I don't know I'm gonna botch her name, but I do like what I've seen. And apparently there is a connection between her and Stephanie Vacure, their former tag team partners, which makes sense, which is the tie-in as to why there's an eliminator match. So, Mercedes Moné had a good showing. She's the CEO. She ain't going to lose anytime soon. So, yeah, man, overall fun match, good match. And speaking of the women, you had a hype package for Mina Shirakawa, showcasing her accolades and everything, and why she's great and why she's good, and the connection between her and Mariah May. And speaking of Mariah May, you had a backstage segment with Mariah and Toni Storm, and Mariah says that next week is going to be a contract signing between Toni and Mina, and Toni said that, I forgot what she said, man. No, I remember. She said something to the effect of that she's the load that holds the gold, talking about her ass. She has a nice ass. It's very nice. She's thick. She's very voluptuous. She's got the yeeks, the yams, if you will. So there's that. So this episode of Dynamite is so good. I didn't even mind the learning tree segment. Last week there was just too much learning tree. It was like 52 segments with Chris Jericho walking around in the back, just waving like an idiot. So when you just have it contained to one segment with TV time with Chris Jericho and the learning tree, I didn't mind it too much, man. Because everyone involved understands the assignment. Chris Jericho understands his role. Big Bill understands his role. And Brian Keith really gets his role, because all he does is just look mean and just say, you better respect Chris Jericho. But it's just his delivery and just the way he just looks so angry because he really feels like you should respect Chris Jericho. And then you have Chris Jericho, running down the city saying that, he had some corn, but it wasn't up to snuff. And then he teaches the people how to make corn. So, good for him. And then they bring up, oh my God, is that Private Party? And Chris Jericho is, teaching Private Party how to climb the ropes. And Private Party is saying, yeah, teach us more, Chris Jericho. Well, this is all the rules, so they can get the jump on the learning tree. So I'm assuming that this is going to set up a tag team match either between Chris Jericho and Big Bill, or either Big Bill and Brian Keith taking on Private Party. So you win this week, Chris Jericho. You win. So Daniel Garcia had a squash match against Nick Comoroto. Daniel Garcia has gone on record in interviews saying that he wants to fight Will Ospreay for the International Championship. And, you had Will Ospreay watching in the back. And not only did you have Will Ospreay watching in the back, but you also had MJF. And speaking of MJF, I got to rewind back a little bit, because Rush had a squash match against some dude. I didn't even remember what his name was. It doesn't matter, because Rush beat him. And Rush is about to beat this man up some more. But of all people to come out and make the save, it was the Wolf of Wrestling, MJF. And then they have a brawl. So they're fighting in the middle of the ring. They're fighting through the crowd. They're fighting in the back. And they're just fighting all over the place. And then Tony Khan announced that next week is going to be Rush and MJF wrestling to open up Dynamite next week. And it's going to be commercial free. And at first I'm like, that's pretty cool, because it is commercial free. But I kind of felt like it was going to be a Forbidden Door match. But it's kind of looked like they're setting up MJF for something with possibly Will Ospreay, possibly Daniel Garcia, something involved with the International Championship. So that's something we got to keep an eye on. But speaking of the International Championship, we go to our main event match between Will by God Ospreay and Rey Fenix. And these two are flipping around like Super Saiyans and superheroes, doing flips and dives and kicks and no selling, and people are complaining about it on the internet. I don't care, because I like it. This is a match I was looking forward to all week. And to the surprise of nobody, Will Ospreay won. But the match was a whole bunch of fun. You even had Swerve Strickland in the front row, watching his Forbidden Door opponent. And then after the match that Will Ospreay won, you see Will Ospreay and Swerve go face to face. And Swerve is kind of talking trash and saying that Will Ospreay isn't taking this serious. He's saying that he's still the immature kid he met 10 years ago, and that Will Ospreay can't handle the responsibility of being a dual champion. And the way Will Ospreay responds is by taking Swerve's championship and posing with both championships. So there's that. And the last thing you hear is Swerve whispering in Will Ospreay's ear that you're lucky that we're friends, because if we weren't, I would put you in the grave for that. So this feud is heating up. Is basically a feud of mutual respect, but it's gonna get thick real quick between both Will Ospreay and Swerve ahead of the match at Forbidden Door. So I'm not mad at it. I gotta say, this episode of Dynamite it was an overall fun episode, even though I had some complaints. The Acclaimed and Dustin Rhodes. Outside of that, man, I had fun. This is the type of episode of Dynamite I like to see. This is the type of AEW I like to see. More of this, please. But with that being said, guys, what do you think of this week's episode of Dynamite? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Bees, I'm out. Peace.